What changed the most in SEO in 2026, especially for professional service like law firm?
The historical data is one of the most important ranking factors today.
What should law firm to do appear in AI overviews, and what are some of the most important factors here in your opinion?
The main thing about the AI section is manipulating query statistics and document statistics.
First of all, thank you so much, Koray, to joining this conversation. And today's conversation is something I personally wanted to do for a long time, because many law firms we work with are asking the same question: why does SEO feel harder even after doing everything right? They write blogs, build links, optimize Google business profile, but still struggle to build real authority. So I always wanted to bring someone who looks at search differently, not from the keywords, but from how Google understands expertise. And Koray has been one of the strongest voices in Semantic SEO, and now with his work around the Visual Semantic, the conversation becomes even more important for law firms. Because in this 2026, legal search isn't something ranking anymore, it's ever being trusted by the algorithm. So Koray, thank you so much for joining this call, and it's been an honor to get you. And I'm from Bangladesh. There has been a huge fan base of yours here. Just trust me, when I told them that I'll be doing a podcast with you, the people were so much excited. They have been knocking me from today morning and last night that when is the podcast, are you going to do the live, and different kind of questions.
Thank you, it means a lot to me. And I can tell actually, one of the happiest moments of my life actually happened thanks to the DM message, thanks to the Bangladesh SEO, because he actually has sent me a message by sending his photos of his actually kids, and he said that actually he's able to right now feel relieved, and also his kids were also working on our case studies, and he was celebrating my actual birthday to say thank you, and also showing the effect of the case studies. It was a very lovely moment, and I also love the Bangladesh and also the community there. So thank you so much for your interest and support.
Thank you so much, and we're hoping to meet you soon as well. Like when you're trying to visit Bangladesh, there will be a good number of people actually going to welcome you. Okay, so Koray, we want to especially talk about law firm SEO today. Like it is one of the most competitive niche, and definitely is nothing most separated than other SEO, but it's kind of one of the buzz topic at this moment. So before I go to deeper topics, what do you think? What changed the most in SEO in 2026, especially for professional service like law firms?
So one concept that actually everybody should be understanding is about the historical data. Many times actually I see, whether it is in Boston, Texas, Houston, Austin, or let's say LA or Oakland, or different regions in the United States or somewhere else. The historical data is one of the most important ranking factors today, which means that if there is a law firm or a law brand, and if it is taking actually historical data, which means clicks and also the foot traffic over 3 years, and if you don't have the same amount of data to actually earn the trust of the search engine, it's going to be a little bit harder for you. Even if you have actually better, let's say, higher page rank, even if you have better semantic relevance, or even if you have a better, let's say, responsiveness, you will need to first close the gap of historical data, actually. Because if there is a competitor who has more branded search demand than you, and if they are actually, let's say, getting more foot traffic through their office, through the Google business profile, and if they are getting higher level of clicks for the last 5 years, that's the difference between Microsoft Bing and the Google. For instance, in Bing, you can see way faster reactions. You publish the content today, and they directly check the content, and they start to rank you. But there is one reason for that. It's not because their algorithms are different, because Microsoft Bing doesn't have the data. They don't know actually what type of click data was existing for the last maybe 10 years. But from Google's point of view, they have already enough level of data, and they start to actually trust the clicks and the effect or longevity of the clicks more. That's also one of the main reasons that after the Google's own DOJ leak files and Department of Justice in the United States, as you know, sued Google for being a monopoly, and they didn't fine Google, but in the return of not giving a penalty, they said that you will share your click data with your competitors. And they called it GULU, basically, which is a funny name, in my opinion, because when they say GULU data, they actually mean Chrome user behavior data. But also it is interesting because I believe the phrase "gulu" there is not a coincidence, because it's like actually making a result or a website like sticky directly in the search engine result pages. to actually stay there. So that's why the historical data always should be calculated. If you have more page rank and if you cover more topics in a better way, you can close this gap faster. That's why in the topical maps, we usually create an author section so that actually we can also rank for more topics and we can actually use internal links to flow all this historical data or trust signals to the where we are trying to mainly rank for making money. Like let's say the truck accident attorney Houston. In that case, you will need to be writing lots of things about truck accidents or trucks or many other things, even if it is not about just the Houston. So that actually you can link to the core section of the topical map and you can close the historical data gap. When it comes to the design part, on that part, you should try to follow my hands a little bit to explain it. So let's say this is a sentence, and the last sentence. When Google normally parses your content with their natural language processing, they can actually get this by sentence tokenization, and they can relate this sentence to this one. But inside the design segment, if you check actually layout aware, document understanding patent of the Google, which comes from Michael Bendersky and also Mark Nyork, who are really extremely important in Google system, they actually have a different system. They say that if these sentences are appearing in different blocks or different components on the web page, it means they should be seen as separate from each other, not like four different consecutive sentences. Instead, they are trying to understand that this sentence shouldn't be tokenized or shouldn't be processed together with this one because they are in different blocks or different cards or different components or different HTML elements on the page. Which means that even if you think actually the search engine will understand relevance from here to here, just because they share different parent HTML elements or different blocks or the components on the page, they might not be actually evaluated together. Which means when you check actually co-occurrences or when you check semantic distance between these two, you might think that, okay, there is not that much distance. Google can actually understand from here to here. But since they are in different blocks, they might not be able to actually create a co-occurrence matrix from this verse to these ones. That's why when we actually design the page, we are trying to actually create web components which can actually help search engine to tokenize and process the content on the page together. And this new section, Visual Semantics, basically, came a little bit later because since the helpful content update and the AI search on the web, there is a reason that Google always promotes forum content and social media content because they think that forums and the social media are full of people, and their motto is very simple: people for people on the search. That's why they keep ranking the forums. And at the same time, if they see that you have a unique design, even if it is a very easy to use WordPress CMS, but if you have a unique design and if there is a human effort or content effort in the human design aspects, then actually they start to trust you or they start to test your site in a better way. The last part of this answer is about understanding the click tests. If you see that actually Google ranks you higher, people usually think that, okay, it works. It's not like that exactly. Just because you rank higher than yesterday, it doesn't mean you did something right. They are just testing the clicks. If they see that actually there is a better, let's say, positive effect in the clicks that you get, then actually they can start to rank you higher. But also not just higher, but also longer. Because Google has a system that we call search engine result diversification, which means that for the query like Houston truck accident attorney, when you start to rank in the first page, you are actually not ranking there 24 hours. When they test you, in the first place, they actually rank you only for like 20 minutes a day. And if you are able to run some SERP checking scripts, there is not that much a tool for this. Imagine you write a script and you check the search engine result page every second, which means actually you will get tens of thousands of SERP snapshots or the data for just one query. And then you can actually coordinate all these snapshots in a good way to the seconds. And from there, actually, you can directly see how they are doing the click tests. And you can see whenever you make the page more authoritative or the site or relevant, you will see that first day 20 minutes, second day let's say 40 minutes, and until you go to the actual 24 hours continuous rankings, these click tests for you actually keep going. So these click test understanding, historical data, and the design aspect understanding, they're all actually coming together in today's world.
Oh wow, that's actually very deep answer, honestly. Thank you so much. So is Google now giving prioritize more that understanding a site than optimization a site?
Understanding section, of course, it was always important, but at the same time, let's say they give more weight to how your page actually looks when it comes to actually understanding that. For instance, that's why we actually processed the centerpiece annotation in our course as well, because the centerpiece annotation means actually the most important component that is appearing in the above the fold area. Are you using it just a CTA, also F4, or are you having any type of input area, a calculator or a slider, or anything else like that? If you are able to actually use these type of different components and the layouts, you can actually understand that what components are actually weighted heavier by the Google's itself. So they actually understand your page not just based on the text, they also understand it based on actually the components that you place into the page.
Understood. And I have a question, like if a brand new law firm launched today, so what foundation should they build before creating any content or backlinks, according to you?
So if it is a brand new site, there is one thing that they should be aware of. We know this from DOG leak files too. Pandonayak, who is chief of ranking, says directly that they are not running every algorithm for every site, especially because it is expensive. And just last week, they also said that they are not crawling over 2 megabytes of a page anymore, which means if it is 2.5 megabyte, the last half megabyte there is not calculated or weighted by Googlebot anymore. We usually call this predictive information retrieval, and you should understand that Google is not like, maybe this is a bad analogy, but we know that actually, for instance, in Islam, we always know that God sees everything and God is everywhere. Google is not like that, of course. So technically, when you fix your website, they don't directly run that algorithm on that second to actually see what you change on the site. It's not like that. They actually classify these sites and they run these algorithms maybe every 6 months or maybe every 3 months. That's why usually we try to focus on what we call cost of retrieval. And the advantage here is when you run or publish a new website, Google actually runs every type of expensive algorithm on your website. If you have the advantage of freshness, I would strongly suggest you do not show your website before it is fully ready. If you are able to at least show 120 really good adjusted document in a connected way, in a topical map and in a semantic content network, and if you're able to show the right design with the right HTML structure, with the faster response time, and after initial publication, if you start to keep increasing your momentum by publishing even more, you can get way much faster and better results, even than actually maybe older than 5 years brands. You can get better results than even their historical data. Because also, one another advantage, you didn't lose any update yet. Many of your competitors, either they lost helpful content update or either they lost various spam updates or core updates, which means actually they have a heavy baggage in their algorithmic history with Google. But in your case, it's brand new, it's fresh, and if you publish it in the right way, you can get a really huge competitive advantage. But if you publish it in the wrong way in the first place, do not expect Google to come back, maybe even earlier than 6 months, and check actually what you changed there. Because you should understand that, especially with the generative AI, it became really costly for them. That's why, for instance, right now, even the global companies, they are not even able to find RAM. There is no RAM on the market anymore. They keep buying every CPU, GPU, and every RAM. And because of that, there is not even enough hardware anymore to actually check your website currently. So because of this, you have to make everything right in the first place. That's why I made that analogy, because you shouldn't think that Google is very smart, very quick, very fast. It's millions of bucks. If they see your site, they should see it in the right way in the first place. If they don't do that, it means you are losing the biggest chance that you have as a new brand website.
Understood. Thank you so much. Actually, yeah, this more important elements. I think before publishing a new site, it should be done. Get it done more perfectly.
Thank you.
And many law firms still build, website around service pages. And how should a law firm approach building a topical map instead? So you answered it already. So if you can give some more information about that, like.
Of course. So most of the time for the local SEO brands, we actually have two sections in the topical map, core section and outer section. Core section is location specific, which means, let's say, only for the Houston or Austin or, I don't know, Oakland or Oregon, etc. And the outer section is actually location agnostic, which means it focuses on the concepts in that area, like negligence, tort law, or let's say the punitive damages or different type of damage types, or medical records, insurance, or many other aspects. And when we create these two different type of topical maps or topical map segments, the outer section always links to the first section all the time. Inside the location specific part, we also have two inner part two in the anatomy of a law firm topical map. There, one of them is again specific to a specific location, and other one is specific to that type of lawyer, like what does car accident attorney do, or what is the job description of car accident attorney. From there, from this what does a car accident attorney do, you are linking to the car accident attorney X region or X city, and also you are linking to the, let's say, how does car accident attorney actually, let's say, read the witness statement or get the phone records or get the CCTV footage of the accident scene, or how to read a police report or how to get a police report. Technically, you are connecting the entity of the occupation to the locality, and then you connect that specific occupation entity to the all different predicates like read, gather, secure, check, or let's say the contact, and you connect it to the different nouns like secure the CCTV footage, or read the witness testimony, or read the medical records, or gather XYZ. Then you also have another part just about the laws, the panel laws technically, and you explain what these laws are, and you directly state which section of this specific law is related to the what type of accident. When it comes to the concept of the accident, there is one more section there, of course, like types of injuries, and let's say we talk about traumatic brain injury. And inside the TBI, there are also severe cases, mild cases, or moderate cases. And out of this, you also have long-term cases or short-term cases. And out of these 5 different combinations, you also have different type of symptoms, and according to the symptom, the settlement value is changing. And you should actually combine all these different attributes of the TBI to the different settlement ranges, and how a car accident or whatever accident or personal injury attorney uses these symptoms and documents actually to file a claim for you. So whenever you have these connections, you are basically drilling deeper and deeper to increase the relevance. The most important part here actually is called information organization. For instance, which one of these accident types should be a page, or should be a heading, or should be just a sentence? And we usually call this query deserves a page, query deserves a heading, and query deserves a sentence. And in these type of cases, for instance, let's say we usually target the home page for the most important page, which is usually also your Google Business Profile targets, main GPP targets. And in that case, let's assume in a segment we are actually discussing, let's say, types of injuries. While we are discussing the types of injuries on the homepage, it can also open and link to the individual injury pages or injury types as well. But in that case, it will be very medical. That's one of the parts that actually people sometimes lose. For instance, when they open a topical map section for the locality, they also write about history of, let's say, Melbourne, or history of, I don't know, whatever. It's not needed at all. Your website or your source context is not about history of that location, or events or festivals or things to do in X region. These are not about actually directly your context. And when you open these irrelevant attributes as on the page level, it directly actually decreases your topical relevance. So it's not about actually covering everything on the page level at least. And when we actually link to these injury pages, or like, let's say, traumatic brain injury page, we opened it, let's say, we don't make it 100% actually medical. That's one of the key points there. That's why we divided a page into the two pieces. Like one is macro context and one is the micro context. In the macro level, we focus on medical, true, because queries for that page has that context. But in the bridge and the micro context, we keep linking to the medical and also legal sections as well to explain what are the legal necessities, whether for insurance companies or whether for filing a claim or on the contrary, for defending yourself against a claim. Because antonyms help for relevance. If you also write something from the context of filing a claim, you should also include sections in terms of defending yourself against that claim as well. If you have the antonyms, you always increase the relevance. This is already in their algorithms and the patterns. And in overall, if I just summarize, when you create these topical maps, try to understand what they call site radius and try to understand what they mean with the site focus score in their actual API link. These are exactly the same with what we call actually in our system as well, because in our system, technically we have source context. If you're a legal site, you shouldn't write things about history or etc. If you want to have the history of a place, you can actually have it in the micro context, in the context of accidents, like car accident statistics for the last 20 years, for instance. And you can mention all these sub-locations in this statistics context, which is another issue too. Because when I say cost of retrieval, it means that actually they don't like seeing and dealing with too many pages in your site. And if you are opening, let's say there are 21 different type of accidents for 60 locations that you target. If you keep opening a page for every street, it will be tiring actually their system. That's why you should understand that what type of accidents and what type of localities, they should be merged together. And you should be more economical in your site structure. If you open too many pages for teeny tiny queries, it's not working in that way. You can see that your crawled but not indexed section can be actually increasing. And if you tell, yeah, but my competitor opens these pages and they are getting indexed unlike me, maybe they have more historical data or higher page rank or branded search demand and more click data, as I explained in the first place in the podcast.
Oh wow! Again, yeah, this is so important. Like the concept you just mentioned right now, like mentioning about the city or historical data of the place, is actually so common, and people use it a lot, and this is true. And so, according to you, you mentioned already, but if I ask you separately, if someone asks me a question, what should be an ideal practice area page structure? According to you, what should be the best one page structure for? Let's say I'm targeting a page slip and fall injury internal. So, what should be the best page structure for that?
That's a great question. So we actually created a kind of something that we call web component dictionary, which means that actually we have certain type of web components that we always add or sometimes adding. The always adding or added components are like, for instance, you always need a face in your pages, which means a human face as a recognizable entity always should be existing. That's why we try to always register an entity in the knowledge graph for every lawyer that we have by opening also external official sites for their names. Which means usually we always have a team component on the page. And usually we merge the team component with the best lawyers, or let's say best flip and fall lawyers in X region and also near me. And then we add the team component, which means we have the teammates in a listicle, but in the list of actually boxes. The main thing there is, when it comes to the near me and the best queries, if you have the best X near me type of a query, Google usually tend to rank actually third-party sources. This is the same for rehab industry as well. If you go to the best rehabs in Thailand or US or Texas, whatever, or Arizona, usually recovery.com type of aggregators actually rank. Because the query is superlative and the query technically is requiring you to actually rank multiple lawyers, which means in my page for the best near me queries, I need multiple lawyers to exist in a listicle. And I should be actually compare even actually my teammates to each other in a way. Since I can't do this comparison directly in a visible way, we use some design tricks. For instance, if you click somewhere, the card for the teammate is flipping. Then we explain actually why this lawyer is the best in that region, or the second best, or the third best, or the fourth best. This is one of them, the theme component. And of course, in the above the fold area for the centerpiece annotation, you have to have directly a conversion element, and usually I prefer to show my form element as is by saying free case evaluation. Because if the form element is not visible in all of the screen sizes for all the devices, they might actually decrease the relevance, or they might, in some cases, they might not run some of the algorithms. There is a very good case actually in our portfolio for that. For a calculator site, way earlier, someone from Mauritius, a good person, asked for the help, and we just sent a mail by saying that just take this calculator from middle of the page to the top of the page. It made actually millions of web pages to be recrawled, and the website increases rankings more than 3 times. Because it wasn't in the centerpiece annotation before. Google tries to understand your above the fold area more important than anything else. If you don't have enough level of relevance and responsiveness in your above the fold area, they are not evaluating rest of the page either. And when we say the responsiveness is different than relevance. For instance, if your first sentence on the page is like, a car accident attorney is an attorney that does the etc, etc, etc. It's true that this is still relevant. I mean, you basically have the search terms in your sentence and you give a few information there. But it's not responsive at all. For instance, you didn't give anything about application conditions, required documents. What is the first step? The responsiveness is not about relevance. It is about the actions that can be taken actually on your page. That's one of the biggest differences also since the HCU, or what we call content size and functional size. Helpful actually means functional. You should be selling something, and you should be having that actual shameless CTAs everywhere on the page by localizing the context. Besides that, usually we try to have what we call vertical switcher. This is, for instance, existing in the homepage of NordVPN that we did also there. Which means when you give actually advantages of working with a car accident attorney or personal injury attorney, there are 2 contexts there. You should be bending the meaning of the query. Let's say the heading is advantages of working with a personal injury attorney. There are 2 contexts, because you are giving advantages of working with an attorney, and also you are giving the advantages of working with you at the same time. By creating relevance, because usually we use X attorney as a synonym of your brand to increase the relevance all the time. And in this advantages section, we are trying to place certain predicates and certain nouns and adverbs and adjectives by providing especially unique images. We call it vertical switcher because after an H2, we also have small accordions in the form of H3. If you click one of them, it changes the visible image at the left side. And it also opens a text and includes a CTA directly. Another aspect there is we always have what we call review component. Now we include video reviews and also directly the textual reviews. But for textual reviews, and also video reviews too, we suggest using on-click events. Which means if somebody clicks to your review, you should be taking them to that specific web page, even if it is externally. But the important nuance here is we don't use A tag. If you link outside with the A tag, you will leak your page rank. But if you click with the on click, you just help users to see this review source. And we use still the on click event because Google is able to see where you are going by clicking where anyway, because they are checking your Chrome for anything that actually you have. The Chrome data is their data. So if they see that all the users are actually traveling from your home page to a specific page, they know the connection from there, even if there is not a direct link there. The purpose there is show the navigational path, but protect your page rank. Another aspect is trust elements. If you check the quality rater guidelines, they directly say that using logos of the newspapers or payment systems or review platforms or portals is not the best thing that actually you can do. Because if you don't explain why these actual trust elements are there, if you don't say it explicitly, they call it deceptive use of logos. That's why we always verbalize our actually trust elements. And usually I call these like 4 different principles, like contextualization, commercialization, visualization, and verbalization. Verbalization means after you click, hover over, or touch or do something on that element, element actually should be having directly an explicit certain text. This is also important for, again, AI search too. Because if you just put the New York Times logo there and that's it, AI or Google or anything won't be able to understand why it is there. But if you add a hover over effect, when I hover over to the New York Times, if you explain it with a tooltip, and when I click on it, if you send me to that page with the on-click event, you can protect your page rank, you can explain why it is there, and you can also communicate with information retrieval algorithms in a more verbalized way, with more substance on the page. And there are many other components actually, especially what we call structured information card. The name is coming from Google, again from Dr. Nayork and Bendersky, because when you have a card, let's say we talk about just product card, not even about the lawyers. When you have a product card, you have a price, a discounted price, you have an image, you have a name, you have review ratings, and maybe a few more things you might be having there, like side effects or whatever. Let's say it's a CBD niche, you can give flavors, etc. And if you have 5 or 6 elements in a card, Google doesn't actually use the same algorithm that they use for the paragraphs when they try to understand the cards. When it comes to the card structure, they have a system that they call actually label tokenization. They get actually specific labels on the card and then they verbalize it. And we use a similar structure for also our types of accidents, types of injuries, types of compensations, etc. We basically, when we say this is a moderate situation for TBI, it's a severe issue, or if we are talking about settlement ranges, we create a card structure and we verbalize every one of them. That's why I called these 4 things. We actually visualize it in a way that you can verbalize, in a way that search engine also can contextualize, and in a way that you can also commercialize or monetize. These 4 things always should be existing every component of the page. Maybe in the course I'll be showing more example mock-up designs, Figma designs, and also in my a few stage talks it's going to be there too. But it's the kinds of deep subject that actually it requires SEOs to be like a kind of product manager or vice president at the same time. Like SEO first product management will be necessary.
Thank you so much. It's a great answer actually. And again, if I'm a lawyer with multi-locations, targeted areas, so how I can avoid the duplication? Because this is one of the frustrating and one of the most common thing I saw in the most law firm side. There is so pages actually crossing each other and a lot of duplication on the pages.
When you say duplication, do you mean duplication across the local pages?
Yeah, kind of like a practice area
Okay.
pages or city pages.
Yeah, it is. So you should always understand, it's like playing chess, but let's play this chess together. So you have to open, let's say 40 location pages for the same service, which means your title tag is very templated, like car accident attorney in X or personal injury attorney in X region. Which means that actually only thing that you can change here is either numeric values, because numbers can be different from a region to another. Another thing is you can maybe change also the sub-locations in these places. And you can also change maybe statistics, maybe news, or maybe a few more things that is actually dynamic between these things. But when it comes to the conceptual, factual knowledge, until or as long as they are under the same state, legal aspects are same, legal processes actually are same. So it doesn't change from there too. That's why when I open these location pages, and you can check for instance oscarwiley.com.au for the location sections, we have like around maybe 120 location pages there. And we provide the uniqueness there actually by creating a configured templated sentence structure. For instance, let's say you have a numeric API that you created and you always know car accident statistics for every sub-location. And you can directly actually start with an instruction to your content. This is the H1 templated. The first sentence can start with an instruction to create responsiveness by saying examine, observe, or read, or review, or apply, etc. You can use some predicates basically by saying that actually car accident attorney services from our brand for these sub-regions, and then you can give a statistics for that region because statistics are changing from a region to another, and Google checks numbers. If you don't have any number, especially in your above the fold area, it's not good. you should be having some numbers. You can also change the citations. In every page, we always actually cite studies, researches, or some polls or some poll results, which means that when you say in a page, for instance, according to the X university and the Y research, the car accident victims actually needs this. Next time, you can actually cite another research for the same context, and you can find them easily from the consensus.that app. And while changing stats, numbers, and the researches and studies, the most important part, of course, is sub-regions. In, let's say, Oklahoma City, for instance, let's say, the sub-regions in the OKC is not same with the New York City, for instance. And you can always actually change the sub-districts. And from there, too, you can also tell which cities or which regions have more accidents as well. Whenever you give a unique declaration, which is actually about gibberish score, I explained this in my Chiang Mai SEO speech too, because in the patents, we know how they calculate gibberish score. In the API leak, for instance, we know how they actually measure directly the gibberish score. And gibberish score means you keep saying the same or similar things across the page or across the site, and it increases what they call gibberish. There is two ways actually of decreasing that. One of them is you have to say something unique every time. The second thing is that you always have to actually connect these things to different entities or different attributes. In one of them you talk about Manhattan, the other one actually you talk about, let's say, a plaza district in the OKC or Oklahoma City. And when you do this, we also create sometimes a system that we call synonymization. 40% of the time, you can use a predicate of file. 60% of the time, you can use another predicate, and you can run a randomized script there. In a randomized way, mathematically randomized way, that script can choose different predicates, adverbs, and adjectives while protecting the relevance. This way, your vocabulary always can be different, but you should always remember, every noun and predicate always have a built-in context. For instance, the predicate increase is actually a medical predicate. When it comes to the predicate lose, for instance, it's not directly about actually medical, but it's a little bit more about, let's say, the beauty in that case. You can always find the context of a predicate and you can distribute them to your page according to. But the main thing there is, you should be focusing on the value changing attribute. Stats are changing, news are changing, studies and researches are changing, sub-regions are changing. Whatever is changing there, you should be actually implementing the sentence structures of templates according to. And for the things that are not changing, you can use a randomization with a Python script or something like that, and you can change the predicates, nouns, or slightly sentence structures. This way you can protect your actual uniqueness, and of course you can always use different locality pictures. We always use different landmarks to increase the relevance for that specific locality. Another thing is, by the way, for instance, I will give an example from dating industry, because we are active on that industry with some global brands. And let's say we talk about dating in New York City, or gay dating in New York City and gay dating in, let's say, Los Angeles. For instance, in New York City, you will actually see that there is a huge, let's say, in New York City, for instance, gay dating can be for long-term relationship more, and it can be ending with marriage more. When it comes to the Los Angeles, it's not the same. There is a kind of very heavy fitness culture, and usually datings are happening only around certain industries. Lawyers are dating with lawyers, fitness influencers are dating with fitness influencers. If you see that the context is changing according to the city, you should make also your question-answer pairs different according to that. For instance, what are the most common accident reasons, or what are the most, let's say, injury types on that specific region? If you know this, and if you're able to tell that, you should be able to actually add these things with some stats or with some direct incident news as well. And if you're able to get the news from an API, you can tell that the latest car accidents in, let's say, downtown New York City happened just yesterday, and 2 people died and 3 people injured. And this news, always changing numbers through the APIs, keeps adding freshness to your page as well. So these type of aspects can be actually implemented there, I can say.
What should law firm do to appear in AI overviews? And what are the most important factors?
So the first thing there is document ranking. If you go to the search with stateful chat pattern of the Google, you will see that the first step there is search result document selection engine, which means that if your search document is not ranking on the search engine result page, you won't get appearance in the AI overviews at all. First rule is always ranking on the Google results with your document. After your document ranks, then you can rank for the feature snippets and you can rank for people also ask questions, which we call passage ranking. After you rank your document and the passages, then you can get actually generated AI citations or links in that area. The pattern is very clear and the practice combination is very clear as well. But when it comes to the only specific things that you can do for the AI, there are a couple of ways of doing it, because one thing is, we call it wasteful domain, which means that actually we create external domains that actually keep always favoring us and keep always saying positive things about us. Imagine that you open actually 100 domains as exact match, and they are all having different search consoles from different accounts and different hostings. And they all don't have more than 10 pages for actually specific queries. And you create actually specific content that is creating a consensus for a specific type of question answer. And in that case, if these answers are actually favoring you, it means that actually the AI especially, when they actually take the data from the web, they can actually use this data to favor you as well. Because when it comes to the GPT or ChatGPT or let's say Perplexity or Gemini or others, not Gemini actually, but beyond the Google section, you can also realize that just because they cite a website, it doesn't mean that it ranks on Google. Because when ChatGPT actually cites a source for the best rehabs Thailand, for instance, it doesn't mean that it is taking any traffic from Google. The page might be published in 2019. It might not be getting any clicks from Google, but still GPT actually trusts that source to actually cite or to use their data. That's why actually, as we talk about in the first place, historical data, there is also a document statistics that we call. Document statistics means when AI gathers 5 million documents for a topic, how many of them are actually mentioning you and how many of them are favoring you in a positive way. That's why we open actually what we call wasteful domain. We keep opening, let's say, exact match domains like, let's say, correction attorney for Filipinos. Nobody searches for it on Google, but there are some actual people who look for these things. And we actually open multiple EMDs, and we actually favor some of the lawyers or attorneys or some answers for that context. And we are able to affect the AI answers with these wasteful domains because you are basically feeding AI with the data that you control for that city and for that niche. Another part is that in some cases, when we create a web document, we basically use something that we call data no snippet, which means that some of the divisions or HTML divs, they are not for Google or regular bots, but they are only for GPT. If it is not for the Google, we say data no snippet, but still AI uses that data there. Another one is a little bit actually black hat, but you can always doing prompt injection to your images. You can explicitly put signatures to your image. Human eye can't see, but AI, when they actually pixelize the image, they can actually see a hidden content that you place or insert directly to the image. You can write a very good amount of article or document inside an image, and when they get the image, they can actually see that data, while humans don't even realize what you are showing or saying. That especially you have sea or sky in your picture, you can use this in a very great way, because for instance the sky behind me, if it will be a picture, you can write there an entire another article about just car accidents. Then you can actually give it to the AI through your images as well. Another part is that imagine that you have a subdomain or you have a subfolder. You disallow all of the Google bot there, but you keep actually allowing all the AI bots or different type of bots to keep crawling it. And that section is not for Google at all. You just actually keep feeding their data as much as possible. I believe you can just test this. Choose a query that doesn't have that much search demand, okay? It doesn't have to be about your industry at all. For instance, let me just create something. Let's say this is an object, right? Just upload this object by taking its picture to the Google, then open 5 different websites that gives this thing a name. And whenever you actually upload this picture to the then ChatGPT, it is going to be giving your answers there, because nobody else did this yet. You are the only one there. The main thing about the AI section is manipulating query statistics and document statistics. If people are searching your topically generic terms with your brand name, it means you have a query statistic advantage. If the documents are also mentioning you most of the time, again, it means you have an advantage. We usually use WriteSonic for a single purpose, because WriteSonic is able to give me how many different pages or how many thousands of pages are cited for answering these prompts on what type of platforms. Then I see 2,474 pages are cited by ChatGPT for answering the query of best lawyer in New York City. It means that I need to actually be mentioned in these 2,474 pages, or I need to create another 500 by myself. So you should be doing one of them, either with your outreach experts, backlink campaigns, or either by creating actually a domain network only for yourself. And especially for specific industries, like let's say moving company, New York, moving company Atlanta, etc. And you can open actual sites for every city, every state, and you can actually get really good amount of visibilities. I always say this actually to the SEOs, if you want to quickly monetize something, just actually create some EMDs and create some websites for cities, districts, and eventually we'll get phone calls, and then just start selling your actual leads to the actual service providers. And for instance, in construction niche, there are so many materials. For instance, just in this section, they use a different type of material to actually blockade the water and the heat outside. It's different than the ones that are used in interior. Outside section has something different. You can open lots of sites just for this, because people who sell these things, they know nothing about websites, and you can easily rank for them. Or let's say wooden stands. Let's say it's stands that actually they have for the conferences or the foires, etc. You can actually rank for wooden, plexi, plastic, or every variation of them actually by opening all these domains, and you can rank for AI regular results and start selling your leads easily for location specific or location agnostic way, I can say.
Got it. Thank you so much. And my last question, actually, 2 questions last of all. So your take on what is the importance of backlinks in semantic era? So this is the first one. And the second was, can you please tell us a little bit about your upcoming Visual Semantic course? You already give some ideas what will be included there.
Yeah.
Many people are actually very, very interested, including me. So I'm very fascinated to, on this one.
Thank you so much.
Can you give us the information on that?
So when it comes to the comparison of the links to the semantics, I believe this equation is not fully accurate, because semantics actually works and lives in links and also in text or in interior content too. That's why, especially for manipulating the AI as well, we actually create also some topical maps to publish on external websites too. So when we create a topical map, normally we create it for a single site and for internal pages, right? Imagine there is also another topical map just for publishing on external sites to link to your internal pages. So one for interior, one for exterior actually. So technically semantics actually live and works for also making links for living longer and showing better effect as well. But technically, if the question is internal factors are more important than the external factors, if you have enough level of brand search demand, you don't need links at all. If the people are searching for your brand name, if you have a brand, let's say brand deviation for the click behaviors especially, eventually with just internal work you can rank in a really, really good way. But if you don't have any type of brand attribution to close the gap between you and the competitor, you might need actual links there. And when we use the links, again, we use algorithmic authorship. And again, we use actually a kind of external topical map, because before we even add the first backlink, we already know what is going to be the 20th link on what site. We also have an external planning there as well. But still, more and more, semantics, especially for semantics for your own content and your own design, is going to be very much more important. So I believe AI is also, in a way, proving that too, especially for very detailed questions. As I said, a website from 2019 or a website which doesn't have even any link, that they can affect actually AI answers, because AI or large language models, they are working with semantics. They don't have a link graph that much. We know that ChatGPT has an index, that is true, but we didn't see that actually they are calculating page rank. In OpenAI patterns too, I didn't see it that much. As a counter argument, it can also be said that they are already using Google's algorithm and Google's results. And if Google uses PageRank, then it means indirectly ChatGPT also is getting affected from that. But there is one nuance there. Again, the cost. PageRank calculation is too costly. Too costly. To just understand quality and trustworthiness of your landing page, which one is easier? Just checking your page, or shall I actually crawl 2,000 links at the behind? Because this page, let's say this page is linking this, and this page is linking this, and this one is linking this. Why shall I actually spend my money and time for going all these links, which majority of them are actually fake and spam anyway? It's basically making actually cost for them, and that's why they just want to end the work on the page based on your content. That's why it is increasing actually its value. But again, I am saying semantics works also with the links. And especially if you don't have enough level of brand power, please use links. We are not against using links, because later I don't want to have any trouble with the link building agencies as well. they keep getting angry to me when I don't say that. When it comes to the courses itself, it's going to be actually explaining, because in the first course, we actually explain the topical maps and semantic content networks by providing examples. And this year, we will be adding more lectures to the first course for this purpose. The second one is going to be mainly about how you should be structuring your sentences with algorithmic authorship rules for relevance configuration. And when you configure your sentences, with what type of design and layout you should be placing them into your page, especially for component size, component placement, and component priority. We will be focusing on these aspects. So it will be completing actually a few pieces of the puzzle in a better way.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much again for all of this answer. So we are actually done with the question. I'm actually done with the question, because I have some question, but you already covered so many details. I don't think there is anything I missed.